Respectfully, Brittney Griner was in a Russian prison. You would think that somebody who is now free, back in America on home soil, would not have too much to complain about.
Greetings to everyone tuning in for another installment of the Clark Update. Trusting that your day is going wonderfully, I have prepared a particularly compelling segment that dedicated followers of Caitlin Clark simply cannot afford to miss. Prior to diving into the core topic, drop a CC 100% down in the comment section so we can acknowledge the loyal community members here. Spotting our enthusiastic supporters always brings a smile to my face. Without any further delays, we are getting right into the thick of today's developing story.
Fever and Atlanta Dream played. Indiana Fever is where Caitlin Clark plays. Atlanta Dream is where Brittney Griner plays. Now you tell me what it looks like Brittney Griner is saying here.
For the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
For a little bit of context, this was in the fourth quarter after Brittney Griner fouled out against Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever would go on to win by 5. Now I'm going to tell you what I think she said. Let's play it back. Looks to me like she is saying trash and then calling Caitlin Clark a bleep white girl. Just a reminder, this is who Joe Biden traded for the Russian merchant of death. So many WNBA players hate Caitlin Clark so much when she is the best thing that could have happened to the league. And she's not the best thing that happened to the league because she's white. It's
following the massive circulation of a discriminatory tirade directed at Caitlin Clark and the league's initial efforts to sweep it under the rug, Brittney Griner is currently facing the ultimate reckoning. The universe has delivered an absolutely crushing blow of retribution. Should you find our reporting valuable, please hit that like button and ensure you are subscribed to our platform. Surprisingly, a massive portion of our audience still hasn't clicked that subscribe button yet. Hitting it costs absolutely nothing and genuinely supports our daily grind. Have you tapped it? Fantastic. We deeply appreciate your backing. So let us return to the main breakdown.
If you want to get people never to watch the WNBA, this is an amazing way to do it. If the league is going to be rooted in this sort of nastiness with regard to its only real star, good luck to them. Well, folks, the left has a real problem in the United States. They've spent the last several decades talking about how racism is an endemic problem in American life. And there's a problem with that problem, which is there's not enough.
For a prolonged period, basketball executives shielded the controversial center. But a recent pivot has totally shifted the landscape, potentially spelling the absolute conclusion of Griner's professional playing days. Watching this individual finally endure the fallout from her highly prejudiced commentary brings far more satisfaction than merely observing the organization magically locate its moral compass to enforce existing guidelines. Truthfully, the impending storm heading her way is entirely earned. That heavily anticipated hour is knocking on the door, guaranteeing she comprehends the severe severity of her toxic behavior. Despite spending multiple weeks pretending a blatant verbal assault on the Indiana Fever rookie never occurred, high-ranking officials just dropped an absolute bombshell that sent tremors across the sports landscape. The very establishment that bent over backward to insulate the veteran from public accountability was ultimately forced into taking harsh disciplinary measures, and the resulting fallout is absolutely catastrophic for her future.
Brittney Griner was caught on tape during a game with the Indiana Fever, dropping racial slurs against Caitlin Clark, and pretty obviously doing so.
Attack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
And it doesn't take a lot of genius to lip read Brittney Griner, whose voice, by the way, is about as low as mine is, calling her trash and an effing white girl. Now, of course, if Caitlin Clark had ever suggested the same in reverse, using black as opposed to white in that sentence, that'd be the end of her WNBA career. But Brittney Griner is going strong. It's totally...
We need to unpack the underlying catalyst that triggered this immediate wave of cosmic justice. Moments after being disqualified due to excessive personal fouls in a high-stakes matchup against the Fever guard, cameras clearly caught Griner unleashing a vitriolic, racially charged verbal barrage aimed directly at the rookie sensation.
What else happened to everybody else?
I mean, I know there's always consequence to actions. You know, what I did, I already know that I was going to get, some time for that. And, I respect, I got 3 games. Okay. Not disputing that at all. Do I think that it should have been 3 across the board? Boom, everybody involved in it, 3-3-3? I think that would have been, honestly, fair. I would have been happy today with that. Not today. And it's not because of my suspension. I'd say
denying the digital recordings proved utterly impossible. Numerous independent analysts confirmed the exact wording through careful visual breakdown, proving to anyone watching that the hostile rant was undeniably fueled by prejudice. Yet, instead of issuing immediate disciplinary sanctions, League brass launched an intense public relations defense campaign to rescue their highly touted veteran. Strangely, the front office suddenly lost its vision regarding this clear violation, despite their previous eagerness to launch massive probes into rumored fan misbehavior in Indiana. Executives brushed past concrete video proof, minimized public outcry, and crossed their fingers hoping the massive controversy would fade into obscurity after their flagship superstar showcased flagrant bigotry on a nationally broadcast stage. Nevertheless, the universe invariably forces reality into the spotlight, and the defensive wall constructed around Griner has completely imploded in the most dramatic fashion possible.
Brittney Griner is playing a game, and this is what Brittney Griner calls. I was not going to comment on any of this stuff until this took place. Watch what she says. The entire internet has reacted to this. Here's Brittney Griner. They're playing against the Indiana Fever, and look what she's saying. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
Well, that pretty much sounds like trash effing white girl.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest.
So the whole market reacts to this with Brittney Griner, right? And then the other quote, Rob, then I'm going to wrap this up, and then I'm going to go to Adam. Put the quote of Brittney Griner, what she said about the NBA. This is so funny how all this stuff works out, right? She says, this is from Brittney. Every time we play her, there's this commotion, like this loud rumbling from the stands. Turns out it's people, thousands of them, just sitting there, watching on purpose. It's very disruptive. It's called a freaking game that they pay you money to play. Don't play the game.
The sudden suspension regarding the veterans' playing agreement stems from far more than one isolated outburst. Instead, it highlights a continuous string of toxic behaviors that corporate sponsors simply cannot gloss over anymore. Remember, this is the exact same competitor who notoriously complained about loud arena atmospheres just as mainstream audiences finally started packing stadiums. We are talking about someone who was rescued from overseas captivity only to return home and hurl racially insensitive insults at fellow homegrown talents. That staggering level of arrogance and sheer lack of appreciation has definitively triggered her ultimate downfall.
Ionam Johnson.
BG, right now you have 10 points, 5 rebounds. We see the Atlanta Dream as being very... Right now she's talking to the refs about holding. We're going to send it back to you guys.
Very important question.
Brutal economic realities are crashing down on the suspended center as the financial bleeding extends well beyond forfeited game salaries. Following this explosive controversy, massive corporate partnerships are evaporating, commercial branding deals are disintegrating, and any lingering hope of restoring her public image has been entirely destroyed. Keep in mind that federal authorities released a highly dangerous international criminal just to secure her safe return. Yet her overarching attitude has been characterized by bitterness and hostility, directed at the very society that orchestrated her rescue. Every vanished paycheck operates as a glaring testament to the astronomical cost of her bigoted meltdown. The brilliance of this retributive justice stems from the organization's realization that covering for toxic personalities is no longer economically viable. Fresh audiences, who flock to the sport strictly to follow the Iowa phenomenon, absolutely refuse to tolerate discriminatory aggression from veteran mainstays who absolutely possess the maturity to act better. The rookie guard injected unprecedented capital and viewership into the ecosystem, meaning the business necessity for strict discipline completely overpowered the ideological desire to coddle a legacy star. Mainstream sports media went into a massive frenzy over the disciplinary ruling because commentators widely assumed the veteran was totally immune to league rules. Across her tenure, she leveraged countless excuses to justify terrible optics, complaining constantly about fan energy while maintaining a wildly privileged perspective. Yet, as this situation proves, even the most insulated favorites possess a ceiling regarding the controversies they can survive, and the delayed repercussions finally slammed into her. The protective barrier of perpetual grievance that guarded her status for years has officially shattered into a million unfixable pieces. This massive penalty strikes at a highly sensitive moment, directly interfering with front office efforts to capitalize on the soaring popularity driven by the new Iowa sensation. Broadcasters and corporate backers vehemently reject any association with talent spewing televised discrimination. Ultimately, central executives calculated that acting as a shield for the controversial center drained far more capital than simply issuing a severe reprimand. Bigoted outbursts simply grew too expensive to defend, proving that revenue dictates policy. Embedded deep within standard union contracts lay the explicit clauses authorizing this exact discipline, confirming authorities possessed the power to intervene from day one. Choosing cowardice until financial ruin loomed makes their delayed response incredibly frustrating, yet renders the final drop of the hammer incredibly satisfying. late consequences still deliver a massive punch, perhaps stinging even more due to the false sense of security. Loyalists and locker room allies frantically attempted to spin the narrative, but their weak defenses evaporated under minor scrutiny. Apologists argued that veterans deserve immense leeway, claiming audio feeds were too messy and the ban totally disproportionate. Regardless of those desperate deflections, undeniable broadcast angles literally captured her shouting prejudice slurs at the biggest draw in modern women's basketball. Absolutely zero PR manipulation can rewrite what millions analyzed with crystal clear vision. Because dedicated followers spent agonizing weeks demanding transparent leadership, the internet exploded with overwhelming joy upon hearing the verdict. Spectators watched executives heavily scrutinize fever crowds while simultaneously coddling the veteran, creating a disgusting double standard that this punishment finally shatters. Huge segments of the athletic community genuinely questioned if the establishment believed its own marketing slogans, making this heavy-handed correction a massive relief. Dropping this hammer establishes a concrete standard moving forward, broadcasting loud and clear that status and historical trophies cannot buy immunity. Authentic brands mandate this exact flavor of uncompromising governance to survive in today's ruthless market. At long last, the toxic dynamic of treating specific individuals like absolute royalty while micromanaging others faced a brutal reality check. Media reporters caught intense blowback during this saga, scrambling to hide their obvious biases after initially burying the tape. Outlets are currently backpedaling furiously, desperately attempting to explain why they aggressively ignored such blatant toxicity. The gap between grassroots outrage and sanitized journalism has never looked wider. The economic devastation bleeding out from this suspension will severely cripple her earning potential for decades. Lucrative speaking tours vanished overnight, and premium brand alignments quietly evaporated behind closed doors. She must wear the monetary consequences of this meltdown permanently, proving corporate giants swiftly abandon anyone generating toxic radioactive energy. This saga completely exposed the organization's heavily promoted anti-hate campaigns as utterly meaningless vanity projects. They paraded these moral initiatives around relentlessly, yet happily looked the other way when a favored superstar explicitly violated the core tenets. Their supposed dedication to equality proved paper-thin, requiring massive external boycotts to finally force their hand. Even measuring against the notoriously flexible morals of professional athletics, the blatant hypocrisy remains staggering. Adding profound irony to this downfall is the infamous overseas prisoner trade, magnifying the jaw-dropping lack of gratitude underpinning this entire disaster. The federal government literally surrendered a notorious global weapons dealer to secure her freedom. Instead of showing humility, she launched hateful diatribes against a fellow citizen. Watching the resulting karma unfold feels remarkably poetic when weighing that unprecedented arrogance. Discovering that leadership might actually enforce the rulebook sent absolute shockwaves through the rest of the locker rooms. Athletes who routinely push boundaries are suddenly looking over their shoulders, deeply terrified of the new standard. Injecting genuine fear into the ecosystem might accidentally fix the cultural rot plaguing the organization. Timing this ban perfectly alongside massive broadcast rights negotiations proved crucial. Executives fundamentally could not walk into billion-dollar boardroom meetings dragging a massive racism scandal behind them. When massive revenue streams hang in the balance, prioritizing business stability over a single player becomes an automatic reflex. Digital platforms erupted in massive celebration following the announcement. Thrilled to witness a rare instance where the rulebook actually mattered. Positive metric spikes reinforced that dropping the hammer represented the ultimate win-win for morality and profit margins. From the exact second the footage hit the timeline, the court of public opinion aggressively convicted her. While lawyers might threaten appeals challenging the league's disciplinary authority, the airtight contract language guarantees any grievance will face total humiliation. Dragging this through arbitration would merely amplify her massive embarrassment and keep the prejudiced attack fresh in the news cycle. Front offices across the country are dramatically shifting their operational philosophies. Recognizing they can no longer justify enabling toxic locker room cancers, general managers watch the entire math equation completely flip, transforming difficult stars from necessary evils into massive liabilities. The ripple effects extend globally, considering the ugly optics severely damaged the reputation of American athletic ambassadors. Overseas federations closely monitored how domestic leadership handled this crisis, especially given the political weight of the prior prisoner exchange, making a harsh crackdown absolutely necessary to project national standards. Witnessing the betrayed audience react with extremely cautious optimism highlights exactly how much trust the executives burned during the cover-up. Bringing fans back requires proving this discipline wasn't a desperate one-off stunt designed to stop a boycott. The psychological toll of realizing her untouchable armor is gone must be absolutely crushing. The exact establishment that bailed her out of domestic altercations and massive global crises finally turned its back. Losing preferred treatment after a lifetime of royal accommodations hits harder than any monetary fine. Applying this strict standard consistently remains the ultimate challenge. Otherwise, the entire gesture registers as an empty PR stunt that will further degrade the brand. Corporate sponsors threw down the ultimate ultimatum. refusing to bankroll a product harboring undeniable bigotry. Social media outrage moves incredibly fast, meaning brands must surgically remove toxic elements before the contagion spreads to their own logos. For the Iowa superstar navigating this hostile environment while trying to maintain total professionalism, seeing the league finally step up provides massive personal validation. It confirms she holds immense value and shouldn't be subjected to verbal abuse from jealous veterans. It's the protective umbrella she deserved from day one. Sending this shockwave establishes a terrifying precedent for adjacent sports properties, potentially triggering a massive culture shift where all leagues stop coddling bigoted outbursts. Watching various coaching staffs delicately distance themselves from the controversy proved highly entertaining, highlighting their desperate desire to protect their own careers. The suspension offered them a convenient exit strategy, allowing them to condemn the behavior without looking entirely treacherous. Agencies representing the center face an absolute nightmare, trying to market an actively radioactive client. Future contract negotiations will become impossibly difficult when organizations price in the massive public relations risks. Transitioning from a franchise cornerstone into an absolute pariah sparked massive whispers regarding an impending retirement announcement. Finding a willing employer to inherit this massive circus appears highly unlikely, suggesting a quiet exit might be the only viable pathway. Watching her historical statistics completely overshadowed by a single moment of hate represents the absolute saddest component of this tragedy. Every future conversation analyzing her career will inevitably circle back to this specific meltdown. Torching an entire legacy to indulge a few seconds of pure spite stands as a historically terrible decision. Analyzing how swiftly role players face severe suspensions for trivial offenses illuminates the disgusting double standard that shielded this star for years. Demanding absolute equality under the rulebook represents a massive leap forward. League investigators apparently collected sworn statements and supplementary camera angles to construct an absolutely bulletproof dossier, guaranteeing any appeal falls completely flat. The massive brand damage inflicted by this single outburst wiped out years of marketing progression. Mandating sensitivity training, community service, and groveling public apologies before any potential reinstatement serves as the ultimate humiliation for someone harboring such a massive ego. Watching cosmic justice perfectly dismantle an individual who genuinely believed the rules didn't apply remains incredibly cathartic. For years, massive entitlement fueled an ugly attitude that ultimately targeted the exact rookie revitalizing the sport. It proves that no matter how insulated a superstar feels, the bill eventually comes due. She finally learned that actions carry brutal, inescapable consequences. Because this disciplinary ruling proved even legacy stars cannot outrun the truth, Karma delivered an absolute masterclass in accountability. If you loved watching this justice unfold, smash that like button and ensure you are fully subscribed for more updates, as we will continue to monitor every single development in this unprecedented sports controversy.